fight were pretty-looking people, but I can tell you people, they were the devil's children.
Greetings from Castle Goring, from Mickey, Aurora, and from me. I am all dolled up today because I am celebrating, along with all of the Nigerians, the return of a sister to her roots. And I thought the least I could do was dress accordingly so that everybody would know how moved I am by the return of the sister to the promising land. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It gets more and more interesting, as we are about to discover. Leslie Boschel says, "Hello, Lady C. Did you notice the comment below? The British High Commissioner in Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, disclosed in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria in the course of his courtesy visit to the managing director of the agency, Malam Ali. He said, quote, 'It's great that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex are visiting Nigeria, which I understand,' distance already being put, 'is at the invitation of the Defence Headquarters. But they are visiting in a private capacity, not an official one. So the British High Commission is not involved in arranging or facilitating their programme. They are not representing the work of His Majesty's government on this visit.'" Question continues. Was this, in your opinion, a slap down from the King just before Harry and his wife arrived in Nigeria to parade themselves? I'm so hot. I'm just so hot. I tell you, I can't ever resist. I'm so generous. I can't resist sharing my hotness with the world. To parade themselves to the world media by cosplaying the "We're Still Royals" card? If so, I'd say, well done, King Charles, for taking the wind out of the faux royal pretenders' pretentious sails. Also, Harry was booed at the Cathedral. Leslie Boschel, thank you for all of that. Not only did the High Commissioner make that categoric statement distancing the British officialdom from the visit, but the Nigerians themselves made a subsequent announcement making it clear that Harry and Meghan were attending in a private capacity and relied upon the fact that Meghan had done her DNA and discovered that she was Nigerian. Can you imagine? She's 43% Nigerian. But wasn't she 85% Maltese? Oh no, that was 55%. Or was it 35? Or was it 25% Maltese? Now, how does that add up? Half from her father, half from her mother, 43, and even 12% becomes over 50%. Goodness gracious me. I think she'd better try another DNA source. But because it is well known that the British High Commissions, consulates and embassies facilitate royal visits, the High Commissioner has gone out of his way to make it absolutely clear that any facilities that will be offered behind the scenes are totally not related to Harry and Meghan being there in a royal or official capacity. I actually think the sooner Harry is stood down from Invictus, the better. I think that it is muddying the waters to have him being a faux royal in a faux royal position in a supposedly worthwhile cause like the Invictus Games. I think he should be stood down. And I know that many a veteran and many a veteran's family agree with me. Well, don't complain to Invictus. Complain to the palace. Let's put it that way. Now, as for Harry being booed at the cathedral, yes, he was. And strong efforts were made to counter the boos with woo-hoo-hoo, which is a ploy when you know there's going to be booing. You go woo-hoo, so that the boo is masked by the woo-hoo, but you could hear the woo-hoo trying to drown out the boo, and it didn't succeed. Well, surprise, surprise. At least we know that Harry isn't quite as cowardly as Meghan, because she can set up the situation for everybody else to be attacked, and then, like, really, a slime bag and a coward, she slinks back and lets everybody else take the flak. At least he faced the music. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo. And he certainly gave a show of confidence that clearly masked something rather more discomforting going on beneath. My heart would bleed for Harry if every time I'm tempted to sympathise, the words just desserts didn't pop into my head. Am I mean? Or do I have an appreciation of justice? I leave it up to you. Seabreeze says, did you notice there was a loud whistle sound at St. Paul's Cathedral? This is unusual. Crowds use their voices, not whistles that a football referee uses. This may have been a way of drowning out the boos. Well, I did not notice a loud whistle sound. I did notice the hoo-hoo to drown out the boo-hoo, but I didn't notice a whistle sound. And quite frankly, not being tiresome, but I couldn't be bothered to look again. Sorry. Evelyn Elaine Smith says, Sussex-friendly articles are now flooding the US media, criticising Charles and William for not being magnanimous and freeing their schedules to meet with Harry. They are also upset that the king didn't officially wish Archie happy birthday. Never mind that his daddy hasn't been in Montecito for his last 2 birthdays. Meanwhile, back at the Montecito mansion, Meghan was mad that Catherine hadn't apologized to her because she didn't call her to tell her she was suffering from cancer. What a wicked, wicked sister-in-law that Catherine is. She didn't tell the sister-in-law who's tried to destroy her reputation and done everything in her power to belittle her in the eyes of the world and negate any possibility of popularity as the Princess of Wales or the Queen of Britain, and certainly when she was the Duchess of Cambridge. What a wicked, wicked girl Catherine is. So spiteful. Not forgiving Megsie baby. Oh, sorry. Megsie's the one who needs to forgive Catherine because Catherine made Megsie baby cry. Well, of course, the Givenchy team have a totally different story from Meghan's, but we're not going to go there. No, we're not. No, we're not. Well, I'm repeating this because it explains to people who do not understand the way the media work, how the media do work. They can't be entirely negative. They have to be positive as well to keep the narrative flowing. I can be as truthful as I want because I am not determining or dictating the narrative. I am shining a light on what is going on. They are not shining a light on what's going on. They are determining the narrative. It's called propaganda. It was very well established in the 1930s by a certain Dr. Joseph Goebbels, and Meghan and Harry have taken a leaf out of that book, as have the media on both sides of the Atlantic. And long before Meghan and Harry even figured in the equation. Because, as I've said before, and I'm going to say again, in 1992, I said to Robert Jobson, I said, Robert, why is it that you guys write all the rubbish you do about Diana when you know it's lies? And he said to me, well, Georgie, he said, if we spoke the truth, people wouldn't like her and it wouldn't sell papers. So there's all of that. And of course, William and Charles are horrid, mean, nasty people for not embracing treacherous family members to their bosom. After all, Harry and Meghan don't need to apologize. They don't need to ask for forgiveness. It would be the media's answered prayers for Harry and Meghan to eviscerate the King, the Queen, the Prince and Princess of Wales, literally as well as figuratively, while the cameras were rolling and the press could comment upon it. That is their best case scenario, to keep the drama going, to keep the conflict going. It sells newspapers. It provides a story. This is all about creating stories to tell to people. The nonsense that they come up with, but you can tell that which emanates from America because it has a totally different feel to it from that which emanates from Britain. Each culture has significant differences. saying happy birthday to Archie doesn't really cut the mustard in England the way it does in America. I just make that point for what it's worth. Fiona Marr says, I'm curious to know that if it is illegal to be homosexual in Nigeria, does that apply to visitors to the country also? Would Harry and Meghan have to only take a team who are heterosexual to Nigeria? Very interesting question, very good question. The act is illegal, the condition is not. As long as you do not act upon the propensity, you do not fall foul of the law. I wonder if Marcus Anderson is going to be joining Harry and Meghan's team, says I being mischievous. And what about amid scabies? Because I'm sure they will be very eager to report upon how splendidly the visit is going and how supportive Harry and Meghan are to gaiety generally, and in particular in Nigeria. Except, as you know, I'm being wry. So, also, this is about making money. You know, people say Nigeria is a poor country. Nigeria is one of the naturally richest countries on earth. It may be corrupt and mismanaged, but it has great natural wealth. As Harry and Meghan parade around, greeting all sorts of veterans, etc., etc. And do you think we can have a quiet deal on the side? Or you know, after this, do you think we could maybe sort of see about mining rich streams of commerce? After all, one should never miss an opportunity, nor should one ever avoid having your milk not being acknowledged as worthy of payment. Sharon Albanese says, Nigeria is also a country with one of the highest incidences of female genital mutilation in the world. So as a feminist, I'm sure Meghan will raise this issue with the government, won't she? Well, we know how noble Meghan is, and we know how humane she is. She's a real humanitarian. And she's a true feminist. Girls, the way to achieve something in life is climb up that vertical ladder and make sure you do it in such a way that you don't stand proud, but you make those who are using, who you want to use, stand proud. That's one tip to the wise. Make him feel good. Be enthusiastic. Show appreciation. And make lots of noise while you're doing it too. That's right. Gotta show your appreciation. And everybody's gotta know that you are a great appreciator. Aha! Yeah. Now, what is it about when Harry met Sally. Oh, no, sorry. It's when Meghan met Harry. Sorry. I'm confusing scenes. Well, of course, all those poor women will never be able to sing as richly as feminists like Meghan sing, because those women will be condemned to a life of obligation as opposed to pleasure. Although I am pretty sure that an awful lot of those women who are so evocative of enthusiasm, their pleasure is rarely counting the opportunities that arise as a result of their enthusiasm. Yeah. Somebody I know very well who sold herself as being extremely passionate, and her husband and his family thought that she was so in love with him and just a hot number because she absolutely adored him. She used to say, "I can't stand it," privately. But to the audience, it was so enthusiastic. Yeah. Don't take my word for it. Ask Meg Ryan. Hussein Amina says, oh, well, actually, before going to what Hussein Amina says, I'll just round the question off by saying it's a very serious subject. It shouldn't be trivialized, and I hope you don't think I'm trivializing it. Meghan is well known to do what plays well for her. She has no compunction about being as awkward as she can be if she thinks it is in her interest to be so. Will she raise the issue with the government? Only if there are dollar bills glued to the subject. That's my take on it. Otherwise, she's going to be hiding behind her well-known diplomacy, which only ever works when it's in her interest, because she went out of her way, as many people have told me, to antagonize all of Harry's friends and to make sure she would be pointedly failing to fit in. So she knows what she's about. And a matter of that sensitivity, I think dollar bills have to be attached to it, otherwise it's going to be missed. And quite frankly, as a guest, she really shouldn't be rude. In fairness, as a guest, she shouldn't be rude. She knows the condition of the country. She's accepted their invitation. It would actually be a very poor form for her to be lecturing them, even on a subject that we all find totally reprehensible. That's what good manners are all about. Hussein Amina says, what did you think of the mainstream media's abject failure to report on the signs, placards, held outside St. Paul's during Harry's visit? The signs read, "Bakar women need security, Meghan," meaning not her. and stop the rot. Cut out the real cancer from the royals, also known as Harry and Meghan. Given the climate, I'm totally despondent about the lack of impartiality of the mainstream media, who are fixated and deranged about pumping the reconciliation narrative when no one else is. The public are not showing any desire for it, despite the mainstream media harping on about it for years now. Rather than setting the agenda, aren't they meant to be reporting it? Okay, they're allowed to try and to have influence, but it's clearly not worked, and the public are still not on board with pushing for reconciliation. What about reporting on our desire to put an end to it? Just like it was with the Where's Kate agenda, it's not representative of the national view. We're being failed miserably, and thankfully we have social media to turn to get closer to the truth. That's absolutely right. Social media is the great library of Alexandria brought back to life following the way it burnt down long before the birth of Christ, during the times of Julius Caesar. Not only is the internet a rich source of knowledge, it provides a platform for free exchange of ideas, which should include not only those you like, but those you don't like. We should have the opportunity to be offended by some of the views that are expressed. And you have just described that you are offended by the mainstream media's lack of responsiveness to the reality of how the average person feels. Well, the newspapers and the magazines and the television stations are money-making entities. They need to have stories on the boil to be able to exist. Without those stories, they would have to come up with new stories. And a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush where they're concerned. So if they push too hard for too much truth to be acted upon, they're killing the goose that lays the golden egg. It's as simple as that. So I think if we take a realistic view of what is going on, they should be reporting on the news. They should be reporting other news as well. They should not be trying to create the news, but 24/7 rolling news. It's not like in the olden days when every day you had a 24-hour period, or at least a 12 or 18-hour period to come up with new content. Nowadays you have to immediately click up with the comments and the content. So it's a difficulty for them. And if you appreciate what's really going on, you don't need to be so offended by it. Of course, sometimes you are going to be offended by it because it's so flagrant. But as long as you understand what is happening, it, I would hope, takes the sting out of the situation. Margaret MacDonald says, Lady C, I very much enjoy your daily videos and your beautiful pups. I also own 2 cavaliers. Wonderful. Such joys. What impact do you think the King's cancer diagnosis might have on his relationship with Harry and Meghan? Regardless of his exact prognosis, I would think it would make him more focused on succession planning and making things right for William, who may become king sooner than hoped. He is also experiencing the full burden of the Harry and Meghan issue, in part because Queen Elizabeth did not step in as forcefully as she could have, albeit for good reasons, perhaps. I don't think he will want to leave a young King William and Queen Catherine with this mess. I wonder if the cancer diagnosis may spur tougher action towards Harry and Meghan. What do you think? I have tried to point out that behind the scenes, the King is not the pushover that people think he is. And I think in the last week you have seen some evidence of that. You have seen how Harry was trying to manipulate the King into a meeting with him. Doesn't matter that it was going to be of a short duration. Harry pulled that stunt a few weeks ago. He wasn't going to have him pull it again. And he made sure that he refused to meet Harry. Following on that, the High Commissioner's comment makes it absolutely clear that notwithstanding the normal practice of High Commissions, consulates and embassies to provide a degree of support and indeed cooperation when royals visit a country, even on a private visit. You will remember, for instance, that Prince Andrew was staying on a private visit at the British consulate in New York. That should give you an idea of what happens behind the scenes. And I have been in foreign countries where British royals were on foreign territory and things were going on and we were attending events, and this was done with the full cooperation of the British Embassy / High Commission / Consulate. These are big messages being given out that Harry and Meghan have been totally marginalized. Will it continue? William doesn't want to have anything to do with his brother. Catherine doesn't want to have anything to do with Megsy baby. Charles, I understand, is focusing on his health and his work. He doesn't have time for the negative distraction of his troublesome and troubling younger son. He has effectively cut him loose. He's just done it in an elegant way. Let's not try to have him do it in an inelegant way. Duboulay says, Dear Lady C, the visit to Nigeria by the non-royals is being promoted as a pseudo-royal tour. Well, that's what they were trying to promote it as, but as you will now be aware as a result of what I've said today and what I said the other day, this is actually, their intention has been derailed. The Harkles' attachment to royalty is all they have left, all they ever had. As we are aware, the Sandringham Summit agreement stated that they cannot be half in, half out. Are there any consequences for breaking this agreement? Was it simply a gentleman's agreement, handshake, without any structure or repercussions put in place for when Has and Mayhem, Has and Mayhem would inevitably break the agreement? Despite the New York tour coming close to breaking the agreement, this is now a full-blown defense of the agreement. Surely the breaking of an agreement at a level that affects the entire Commonwealth and British nation would be made with boundaries or consequences. Yes, the royals are a family, but first and foremost, they are solely there as a conduit to carry on the reign of monarchy. I never miss your YouTubes and have never heard this question asked or addressed. Love to all at Castle Goring. Woof, woof. And love from me. Interesting question. The royal family function as a willing team, and a team that understands that cooperation is necessary. They are like a troupe of dancers. I kick, you kick. I raise my left foot, you raise your left foot. You step out onto this, out of the line, we all stay back. It's choreographed to make sense, to be visually desirable, to be attractive, to be purposeful, to fulfill the purpose, whether it is dancing in time to the music and fulfilling the choreographer's requirements, or functioning as a royal family. Today the king does something, everybody else hangs back. Tomorrow William does something, everybody hangs back. Into all of this has come the chaos, but it's not the first time the royal family has had to deal with this. They had to deal with it when Diana was pulling similar stunts. They have experience of how to deal with this now. They are actually throttling Harry and Meghan's ability to disrupt the dance. The dance is continuing without Harry and Meghan, who are a distraction, but they are not stopping the dance. The dance remains intact, and Harry and Meghan, by showing that they don't know how to dance, they don't know how to be in time, they don't know how to high kick when they should, and everybody can see the rest of the royal family knows how to perform as choreographed. So Harry and Meghan are showing up the others as having ability, discipline, and cooperation, while they are showing themselves to be mavericks. The Sandringham Agreement was basically trying to lay out a new set of protocols that Harry and Meghan would abide by, because they had been refusing to abide by the old set of protocols. So to continue the dance theme, the royal family came up with a new song, new dance moves, new music, and a new choreographer. And Harry and Meghan have thrown that into the dustbin. They are showing themselves up to be inadequate as dancers and as royals. And they have shown themselves to be inadequate as human beings. Royalty is about public service. Harry and Meghan have been showing themselves up as private servers of themselves, whose primary objective is gluttony. Gluttony for money, for attention, for chaos, for drama. They have turned themselves in a few short years from the most popular royal couple on earth into the most unpopular. That's an accomplishment. The royal family have been dealing with the matter slowly, cautiously, carefully, and with as much dignity as they can summon up. And they have been careful not to respond to specifics. In fact, the only specific that I can think that anyone has actually responded to was William when he said, "We are most definitely not a racist family." There are no penalties for breaking the Sandringham Agreement in terms of comeback, in terms of, well, there's an agreement, so we can sue. They can't sue. That's, at this level of society, that's not how things work. You don't sue. So even if you can sue, you don't sue, by and large. And you certainly wouldn't sue somebody in a situation like that. What you do is give them enough rope to hang themselves with and gradually make it clear that they lack your cooperation. But you do it in a dignified way. And that's what's playing out in front of the world. It's playing out as we speak. And yes, Meghan and Harry have their successes, but even with their successes, there is failure intermingled. I really don't see how they can actually retrieve their situation, because they have shown themselves to be so thoroughly undesirable and such opportunists, and as Bill Simmons said, such grifters, that people don't like what they see. And they can come up with as many new acts and new opportunities and new stages with new choreography and new dance moves. Everybody still thinks, "I can't stand you." But it plays out, and it is playing out as we speak. And on that note, I'll say thank you very much for listening. I hope this has been of some interest to you. If it has, please keep the questions and comments coming in so I will know what you would like us to be speaking about. Okay, thank you so much. Godspeed. And if you have truly enjoyed this, would you care to like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and take good care. Bye-bye.